Hey guys, it's Dinohunter here and welcome back to another video. Today we're going to be talking about frogs versus toads. Let's get into it. First, the similarities. They are both amphibians, they are both cold-blooded, and both frogs and toads start their life cycle in water. But after spending time in the water, they both move to land. Frogs and toads are both in the order Anura, and they are also both carnivores. Next, we have the differences. Frogs are in the Ranidae family, while toads are in the Bufonidae family. Frogs need to live near water to survive, while all toads don't necessarily need water to survive. Frogs have smooth, slimy skin, while toads have bumpy skin. Toads tend to have wider bodies than frogs, and they also have short hind legs, while frogs have long hind legs that let them jump far. Now that we've looked at the differences and similarities between them, let's look at some examples of each, starting with frogs. First, we have the poison dart frog, which are often found in Central and South America. Poison dart frogs are famous for two things: their bright colors and their poison, although some dart frogs have very dull colors, and some aren't very toxic at all. These frogs get their poison from the insects that they eat in the wild. At the bottom you can see a strawberry poison dart frog. Next we have the glass frog, and the glass frog gets its name from its clear underbelly. You can see the frog's heart beating if you look at it from the underneath. And these frogs are found in Central and South America as well. If you look at the picture on the right, you can actually quite clearly see the glass frog's heart, and you can even see some blood vessels. Really cool. Then we have the Pac-Man frog, and they are sometimes called South American horned frogs. These frogs get their name from their round shape, making them look like the video game character Pac-Man. At the bottom you can see a picture of a yellow South American horned frog. Some are green, but this one that's yellow really makes it look like Pac-Man, while the green ones may not look as much like him. This is one of the more common frogs that are kept as pets, and their lifespan in the wild is from 1 to 4 years, while they can live up to 15 years in captivity. I mean, look at that difference between wild and captivity. That's crazy. Then we have the red-eyed tree frog, and these frogs get their name from their huge red eyes. They are nocturnal, and their main prey is insects. Red-eyed tree frogs have a nictitating membrane rather than an actual eyelid. This is to make sure that they can see predators approaching. Then we have bullfrogs, and these are the frogs that you are most likely to mistake for toads. You can see a picture of one at the bottom there, and you'll see later when we look at some toads how they look quite similar. But here are some ways that you can tell them apart. Bullfrogs have smoother skin, they also have leaner bodies, and they have webbed feet, which some toads do not have. Now I've looked at some frogs, let's look at some toads. First is the fire-bellied toad, and these toads get their name from the brightly colored underbelly. Fire-bellied toads use this to warn predators of how bad they taste. As a general rule, if an animal has bright colors, especially red, they are either warning you of a toxic poison or venom, or impersonating an animal with a toxic poison or venom. Obviously, this is just a general rule, and this is nature, so you can have an animal that has the brightest red that is completely harmless, and then you can have an animal that has a very dull brown that has the most toxic bite in the animal kingdom. You never know. This is just how nature works. Next we have the cane toad, and the cane toad is native to the Americas. However, these toads are famous for being an invasive species to Australia. Cane toads were introduced outside of their native population as an animal to control pests, like rats, that affected agriculture. This toad has a toxin that kills many animals if they eat it, especially animals that haven't had time to adapt to this toad. Yeah, these toads in Australia kill many animals. They're a huge problem. Next we have the oak toad, and this toad gets its name because its brown color makes it look like a piece of bark. It is endemic to the United States, and the oak toad is the smallest species of toad in North America, growing from 19 to 33 millimeters. That's 0.75 to 1.30 inches. Now we've looked at some examples of each, let's look at the life cycle. And the life cycle is pretty much the same for both frogs and for toads. It starts with an adult that lays eggs. These eggs then develop into an embryo, and this embryo then hatches into a tadpole. This tadpole then develops its hind legs. Then after that, its front legs appear second. Then this then develops into a froglet, and that froglet then matures into an adult, and that adult can then lay eggs and start the cycle again. With that, I'd like to thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed, and I hope you learned something, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!